Norbert Thomas story goes like this. I was going to write it as a short story, but I never got around to it, so I'll tell it to you folks instead. Norbert Thomas was a ski instructor in the Alps. As a young man, he was befriended by a husband and wife from California, and they invited him over to the United States. He took a plane over, landed in New York, never even got to California. He ran into somebody on the street while he was taking in the sights, and he said, "Listen, you're a pretty good-looking guy. You ought to go down and down to this model agency and check it out." And he did, and ended up not only getting a job, but like hitting a home run. He was a big one of the top models in the agency. He was making money. He big money. He was doing shoots in Hawaii and the Bahamas and all over the place. And he ended up doing shots in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, and he was the poster boy for the Caesars when they opened the casino in Atlantic City. His picture was up the size of a door hanging from the rafters. He got an apartment in New York with two Swedish airline stewardesses, one of them named Brigida, and I forget the other woman's name. And he was doing really well. He ended up meeting a lady from the town where I lived in, a little town, a rural town in North Jersey called Lebanon, and she had a big Victorian house. She worked at the Eastern Express newspaper and did the fashion section, and so she invited him out to get away from the city, which he took advantage of, and that's where I met him. He met my mom and dad. My father spoke Austrian, and so they could converse. And my mother and father actually ended up visiting him visiting his mom and dad in Austria a few years later. But he knew people in New York, so I asked him if he might know somebody in the publishing industry. He said he did. He knew a woman, and I gave him a manuscript to give to her, and I waited for a reply. I waited about a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months. Finally, I was trying to get in touch with him, and I couldn't because he was out on a shoot someplace. So I went in to get the manuscript from Brigida, and opened the manuscript, and there was nothing. It looked like nobody even opened it. I think he just used it as a pretense to get his foot in the door on a date with this woman, and he popped my bubble, and needless to say, it was a big letdown. But Norbert was not an easy guy to stay mad at. He never had to struggle for anything. It all came to him through an accident of birth, and all he had to do was step in front of a camera. And he extended his career way beyond what normally, there's always somebody coming up that's younger and just as good looking. And so models' career don't last very long. But he ended up doing, he went to Hollywood to try to do some stuff out there. He made a couple advertisements. I remember one, he jumped out of a boat onto a dock and held up a bottle of aftershave, but he couldn't talk. It had to be a voiceover because he had the thick German accent. And so he never really made it in Hollywood, came back, career ended. He as a big time model, and he ended up doing catalog shoots for several years, and catalogs like Target and LL Bean and that sort of thing, Sears back in the day. And so he thought he was done a second time, and he ended up, his agent got him a job in Japan as the Westerner in Japanese advertising. So he extended his career way beyond what you normally do. And but the moral to the moral of the Norbert Thomas story is make sure you know who you're giving your stuff to, and make sure you know what they intend to do with it. So next week we're going to have a little bit about the garbage can wars, and until then, make it new, day by day, make it new.